Do you recognize this? There comes a moment in your career when you realize that you've been doing something that's unhealthy. You've been managing versions of yourself. See, there's a version that your team knows, which is clear, decisive, engaged, fun sometimes. And then there's another version that shows up depending on the room that you're in. You know, rooms where the stakes are higher, where your boss's boss is, rooms where the visibility increases. Now, you don't become incompetent in these rooms. You don't lose your intelligence, but something shifts. You become more careful, more calculated, more aware of how you think you are being perceived. Now, there's a word for all of this: reasonable. It's reasonable to notice when the stakes are higher. It's reasonable to be aware of people that have a stake in your career. But reasonable is not necessarily ideal. And reasonable is definitely not going to distinguish you from all of the other smart people in the room who are also reasonable. The problem is you're managing different versions of yourself, and that is costing you. It's costing you energy, it's costing you influence, and it's costing you authority. See, authority doesn't come from knowing what to do. Authority comes from knowing who you are. Now, by the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to get there. I will give you this part right up front, though. You can only get there with intention. For years, I lived divided. Outside of work, I was a great leader. I was a pastor. I was a leader in my community as well. I was serving people, leading teams. I was impacting people's lives. So I knew I had something to offer. But at work, I played it safe. I kept that part of me hidden because I thought that's what professionalism meant. I thought you were supposed to keep your work life and your personal life in these separate boxes. But what I didn't realize was that separation was weakening my authority. See, authority is a signal that other people experience. And when who you are internally conflicts with how you show up externally, your signal becomes unclear. People can feel that confusion, even if they don't say it or they can't explain it. I remember interviewing for my first senior manager role. It was a bigger role than anything I had before. There would be multiple functions reporting into me. I remember I was interviewing with the VP, and at some point in the interview, I remember saying this: look, I have significant leadership responsibility outside of work. I'm impacting people's lives. I want to bring that same level of leadership here. I ended up getting the role. As I was looking back, though, I wondered, what was it about this situation that allowed me to break through versus all those other times when I was rejected? My mind kept going back to that interview. See, because of the pressure of that moment, I didn't have the time to manage these different versions of myself. I didn't have the energy to do it. I just showed up as me. That alignment between who I was inside and how I showed up outside cleared up my signal. That's when I understood what anchored authority really means. I wasn't managing versions of myself. I wasn't deciding who I wanted to be. I was anchored. And when you're anchored, people can feel it. And that helps them to trust you. Anchored authority is becoming increasingly free from the need to change who you are based on the rooms that you're in. Now, it doesn't mean that you ignore your environment or that you stop being strategic. See, your strategy may fluctuate, but your identity cannot fluctuate. Many Christians will adapt their identity based on conditions. Anchored leaders will lean into their identity in times of pressure. I'm thinking of this verse in Hebrews, which says, "Strong meat belongs to those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil." See, pressure doesn't always have to be evil. It can be good sometimes because it reveals the strength of what you have anchored yourself to. We see this so clearly in the life of Peter. Peter was always sincere. He was always reacting to the situation too. He was unstable under pressure. We see him in one moment reacting to soldiers, cutting off people's ears. And then we see him in a different situation, denying that he even knows who Jesus is. Now, you do notice that he couldn't hide his signal, even when he tried cursing. See, authority is not in the words that you say. It's in the strength of the signal of who you are. But let's not get caught up in Peter in those other moments. Let's think about how he ends up. After the resurrection, on the day of Pentecost, his signal is so clear that thousands of people responded to his message. The power wasn't in his words. It was in his authority. Now, here's what shifts when you operate an anchored authority. You stop negotiating with yourself in real time. You're no longer constructing yourself in the moment. You stop asking yourself questions like, should I say this? Or is this the right moment? Or what are they going to think about me? And these questions, this change, this shift changes everything. Because internal negotiation is one of the most exhausting things that a leader experiences. It consumes energy. It divides your attention. But when you're anchored, that energy becomes available again. Situations slow down. You know what to do. Your signal becomes clearer because you've decided who you want to be. And that decision becomes your operating system. Anchored authority doesn't mean you stop caring about outcomes. It means you stop allowing the outcomes to control your identity. Because yeah, you want to be noticed. And yes, you want that promotion. And yes, you want to make more money. See, the entire point that I'm making is when you grow in your anchored authority, it helps distinguish you from all the other people, and it puts you in a better position to have these things. It's a way to set yourself apart so that people can get a clear signal about who you are. Then they can trust you. Then you can get that promotion. You can land that client. You can get the introduction. And this is also why anchored authority is the greatest professional advantage you can have in the age of AI. Because AI will continue to develop new skills. It will continue to grow more intelligent. It can replicate communication. But what it cannot do is replicate alignment. It cannot replicate internal conviction expressed consistently under pressure. Conviction comes from humans created in the image of God who know who they are and have anchored themselves in real authority. So the question becomes, how do you actually begin developing anchored authority? Well, the best way is to join my coaching program. Go to my website, coacharnoldmurray.com, and click on the Work With Me button. But here are a couple things that you can do on your own. Step 1, build awareness on whether or not you are adjusting yourself in different rooms. So notice how you feel yourself becoming more careful or more quiet than normal. Notice if there is any physical changes, like in your breath and your breathing and your energy when you are in rooms with people that you deem to be important. And if you notice the shift, don't judge it. Just recognize it. Awareness is the first step to freedom. Step 2, use technology to help you reflect on how you're showing up. Man, one of the great things about the times that we're living in right now is that a lot of meetings are recorded. You don't have to just reflect in your mind and think about how you showed up. You can watch the video. You can look at the transcripts. Were you more careful? Did you defer adding your thoughts into the discussion? Ask your clients or your coach, can you record your interactions with them? Listen back to it. How did you sound? Were you trying to be someone else? Another low risk way to use technology to build awareness on how you're showing up is to take the authority assessment. It's a free tool that I created that helps Christian professionals see how they show up under pressure. The results will give you a score to help you measure whether you spend more time in reactive, situational, or anchored authority. The link is in the description, and it gives you a starting point to judge where you are. It takes only about 5 minutes to complete, and again, it's absolutely free. I think you will enjoy it. Step 3, exercise your authority in small sizes. This is how you use pressure to your advantage. When you know you have an important meeting coming up where there's an opportunity to experience some pressure, make a decision that you will make at least one comment towards the beginning of the meeting. See, your brain is going to make you think that the world's going to end if you do something different, if you don't behave like everyone else is. It wants to keep you safe, and that's good. But you've got to prove to your mind and your brain that nothing bad is going to happen because you spoke up at a meeting. Just take one step that is consistent with who you actually are. Say the thing that you were holding back. You don't need to be dramatic. Just share the perspective that you believe is true. You're not trying to control the outcome. You're training yourself not to shrink in big moments. Most people will spend their entire careers trying to become someone they believe others will accept. Leaders who are anchored in their authority, they're going to make a different decision. They decide who they are first, and then they allow their career and relationships to grow around that decision. Because in this age of AI that we're living in, your greatest advantage is not going to be your intelligence anymore. It's not going to be your resume. It's not even going to be your communication skill. Your greatest advantage is becoming someone whose signal is clear and someone who is the same person in every room. This is how authority is built, not by becoming more impressive, but by becoming more aligned. So the next time you walk into a room where the stakes are high, don't ask yourself, who should I be in this moment? Ask yourself, who am I? Am I standing on something that I believe? Am I standing on who I've already decided to be? Because the day that you stop managing versions of yourself is the day your authority becomes super clear. And from that point forward, people don't just hear your words. They feel your signal. I'm Coach Arnold. I'll see you next time.